what have you seen from your experience that allows players to sort of move from that casual format to that professional format here?
Really what it comes down to is how much you can play, the dedication that you have to the game, and how far you can push your character in terms of advancement. And right now, I think Aarow is going for a different strategy. I think they're actually trying to reset based on the match that they had before. I think Aarow was down 2 stocks to 3. So that's how we're going to start off this match.
And you like the sportsmanship, the gamesmanship right there, and nothing but respect. And we'll go on and on and on about the Smash community. But Vicky, we got some action in our face. We're excited to see it. Early thoughts, early impressions right now as we see Aarow as Zero Suit Samus taking on Nery as Isabelle.
Yeah, you have to consider the amount of times that Aarow has possibly played against a character like Isabelle, and the lack of matchup knowledge could also come into the factor here, as you could catch yourself getting hit by these unexpected slingshots, as well as you try to find yourself going off stage. But with that up the shield, it's going to try to keep Nery at the disadvantage, though, being able to get back to the stage safely.
And of course, we have to talk about the fishing rod here, Coney, and the tool that can be for Isabelle as far as being able to set up a lot of those zones and traps on that stage control game.
Sure. I actually think, while it's usually a great tool in our arsenal, especially against bigger, heavier characters, I don't know how effective it's going to be against Zero Suit, because Zero Suit is so mobile. She has that flip kick that you guys were talking about before. She can't really be edge guarded the same way that a lot of characters can. You see it right there. Shoots out the fishing rod. Actually would have been punished, but very luckily had that void trap in the way. Gets the up smash, and now is up 3 stocks to 1.
Nery with the up smash, as we mentioned, taking a commanding 3-1 stock lead. And right now, Vicky, Nery and Isabelle have been somewhat effective in slowing the approaches of the agile, mobile Zero Suit Samus controlled by Aarow.
And this is a situation, Jordan, that you don't want to be in, where, you know, you're at the disadvantage versus Isabelle. Now Nery is going to be able to run with this lead and take this 3-stock game 1 versus Aarow, the player that we have seen go so far within the 2019 tournament, and now Nery making a statement for themselves.
That's exactly what we were just talking about too. The slingshot just being so disruptive, jumping into it, using that flip kick, getting stuffed out, and then going for the panic air dodge, trying to get back to the stage. Just all options were covered. Excellent play there. Earns the 3 stock.
And Coney, that's a great point you make, because even though you're not going to rack up a ton of damage with that slingshot, it's just enough to interrupt your recovery options, eliminate those options. And we saw some terrific control of the stage by Nery with Isabelle. And even though you have that mobility of Zero Suit Samus, you have a lot to navigate. It's just 1 or 2 more things to think about if you're Aarow as you're trying to make your approaches.
Yeah, and I think this might be where the sort of difference in play style comes in that you and I were talking about before, where you're going to see their ability to sort of adapt play style. Aarow might need to maybe not think of a different character, but have a totally different idea in how he approaches this next match. But actually, he's going whole hog here. We've got Joker in the building.
Sue-wee, we've got Joker, as you mentioned before here, and now, Vicky, this kind of changes things up here, because with Joker, you've got a few more range options as far as you're approaching to Nery and Isabelle, but what do you like in the differences between a Joker versus a Zero Suit Samus here?
Well, now with Joker, you have Arsene on board, who is already at the kind of trying to find his way in, but Nery, you see the way that Nery is playing around Aarow, trying to buy that time away from the Arsene as the meter is ticking off, and at the same time, you also have to be wary of trying to throw out your slingshots. You do have that reflect as well coming in from Joker, and it could be very brutal trying to push forward and getting hit by that back air. You see Nery jumping back into the stage to maintain that stage advantage.
Both fighters going back and forth at this point right now, still relatively fresh as a daisy. You see the landing options here, and that seems like it's going to be really important here, Coney, is how you can get out of disadvantage state if you're Joker playing as Aarow.
Yeah, you can see him using that downward gun over and over, and it seems like Nery doesn't really have an answer for it. As you can see, it just seems to keep stuffing him over and over. Isabelle doesn't really have amazing juggle game, neither does Villager, just because you do have those turnips, but it can be kind of easy to get around the verticality of them. So I feel like Arrow's doing a much better job of actually getting back on the stage. Part of that just be because Kalos is just so large that he's able to maneuver around these platforms and has so much more real estate to land on.
It's Sunday, and you mentioned turnips. I know a lot of people are excited right now when they hear that. But Vicky, here we go. Nery able to even things up, and you see the Lloyd rocket planted into the ground on the right side of the stage. Going to go ahead and take Joker for a ride. And as you mentioned, not the greatest juggle game for Isabel, but Isabel remains calm and just seems to really react well to anything that Joker does, not trying to be overly aggressive here, Vincent.
Yeah, Nery overall has just been very well playing around Aarow's circle, not trying to be, even though punishing himself into this offstage game, he is just trying to buy himself time from the Arsene. And Arsene's back here covering that entire platform. You see the way that Nery has been playing a lot more slower whenever that Arsene's on the board, and opting not trying to overcommit with that Lloyd Rocket planted on the ground. See him trying to force Aarow into his own personal space.
And Coney, this is what we're seeing from Nery right now. If you want to have success against Joker, it's all about how you manage that time when Arsene is out on the field of play. And so far, Nery has done a good job of negating the assistance that Aarow's looking for with Joker.
Yeah, I really think he's slowed it down quite a bit. The Isabel play has been much slower, a lot calmer. You saw him lose that first half pretty quickly, and Aarow was able to mount an offense, but now Nery has really sort of slowed things down, pumped the brakes, because that Aarow is now trailing by quite a bit, but it all comes down to this stock. Nery has to land that KO blow, otherwise this could get out of hand, especially with that Arsene on him.
Nery and Aarow down to the second stock, and there we go. The back throw coming from the fishing rod, an effective tool being used right there. That's a catch you'll take a picture with and hang up in the office, Vicky. And now Nery has a chance here to create a little bit of separation. If you're Aarow, you figure you have to get the quick KO to even things up.
Yeah, the clean yeet and the double grab. Now Nery running away with this advantage and stock lead over Aarow. Aarow trying to switch things up here. Now keeping Nery in that situation. And although the side to the stage allows you to try to tech here, Nery, despite being at 141, he's going to try to make it back using that fishing rod recovery and opting to maneuver himself around, tagging on the side of that stage like I was mentioning. And Nery awareness so far in the set has been amazing, and still living at 186. That's a thick puppy, Jordan.
And Aarow trying to knock it out of the longest part of the park, unable to do so as Nery stays alive. And Coney, you really have to credit Nery on the different recovery options, because we know Isabel very vulnerable if you go with that typical upbeat, trying to mix things up. Able to stay alive long enough, though, to build a nice little advantage going to the third and final stop.
Yeah, it's something that you really need to learn if you're going to be playing Villager, if you're going to be playing Isabel. You have to mix up your recovery options. You obviously have the fishing pole. You can sometimes air dodge past your opponent, but there's a lot of end lag on that. So you do have to... Oh, my goodness! No way!
Oh,
the Lloyd Rocket into the fishing rod, into the upward throw. There was no way out of that.
Isabel using all of the tools at her disposal to get the KO, advances past Aarow. And Vicky, you and Coney, we saw the reaction, just the really wise, intensive play that we saw from Isabel. Just once again, patience seemed to really be the theme.